So let's call the meeting to order. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Steve Brenner.
Here.
John Woodward.
Here.
Fred Mogul will be absent. Jen Reimer.
Here.
Bill James.
Here. Okay. Is there any public comment?
I just noticed that you changed the meeting to 12:30 to have your lunch at 12. Is that correct?
Any other public comment? Okay, hearing none. Then you want 1725 Dauphin Avenue?
The homeowner has been in contact with the contractor due to the weather. I don't believe that they've yet started work, but otherwise everything continues to move forward. And the building permit was issued for their table.
Who was picked up and paid for as well, yes.
The building permit was?
Yes.
Okay. I'll move on to the zoning codes report.
My portion of the report is pretty self-explanatory unless anybody has any questions. An update on the zoning hearing on January 8th. The variance for the use to allow the second-story apartment was granted. And I normally at the January meeting do a year-end comparison of, in this case, 24 permits compared to year before 23. In the case of 2023, there were 258 permits issued, totaling about 3.6 million in total improvement costs. In 2024, sorry, I just flipped the paper clip at you. There were a total of 259 permits issued with a total value improvement cost-wise of 21.7 million. So, number of permits was almost identical. Obviously, the value was significantly different, which is good for reassessment and future assessed values.
Okay.
In terms of the property maintenance enforcement activity report, 2 properties of note that are on here that I'm sure everyone's interested in. Berkshire Mall. The stormwater lines were televised last Wednesday. Sean was out there for that. I believe he's waiting to get a copy of the tapes and then he's going to put a full report together for us. I asked him just off the top of his head what the condition of the pipes were, and he said a few were fine, some were totally rotted out like the others had been, and some were, it sounds like, not in great shape but not in horrible shape.
Right. Middle of the road. We're going to need attention down the road, but not necessarily today.
So next Tuesday, Kraft's office, myself, Jim's office, and Chris's office, we're all meeting at McCarthy's office with the attorney for the mall and their property manager for part 1, and then for part 2, we're actually doing a walkthrough of all of the areas in question at the mall so that they can fully understand what we've been trying to communicate to them over email for the past month. Other commercial property of note, the former Sheridan Crown Plaza, Radisson. Nothing has continued to happen there, so Jeff and I spoke about it back in December. Kraft's office sent paperwork to the county's Blighted Property Review Committee, so we have the hearing for that also next Tuesday. It's actually right after the mall meeting.
Yeah, I haven't received the email for it yet.
I haven't,
Yeah.
I mean, I got the scheduling, I haven't got the Zoom link.
Yeah.
But that's, the first one in my opinion is perfunctory. It's the approval to send the first letter to the property owner letting them know that we, the borough, have sent the property to them requesting it be deemed as blighted, and then here's the process to move forward. So if nothing else, it'll get their attention.
There was one property on the report where it was noted that there is no certificate of occupancy. I thought that's how I interpreted the initials. But we have other properties which are occupied without a certificate of occupancy, and I would ask that we address that in a consistent way.
Can you?
In it Reading, my understanding is that they've been occupied for a month or 2, or I don't know how long, without a certificate of occupancy.
So
I'm just asking for consistency.
Yes, I mean, Chris is working through an agreement that the borough and the property owner will execute, at which time we can release the certificate of occupancy.
Understood, but I would like to know, I think since we are enforcing the codes against so many people, I think we should also know who are to be violating the law by occupying without permission.
Are you saying there's another one?
No,
Okay,
I don't know,
okay.
I don't know, but if it's in one place, then it's more apparent how big a problem it is. I just don't, previously I don't think it had been in craft goods. So, I'm just asking that, as I did before.
Yeah, so the other one we're taking enforcement action against as well, that would be the bell tower. We actually have a meeting with our attorney this Thursday.
Yep.
And there's multiple pending citations that a court hearing has been scheduled for February. And Chris, just so you're aware, Michelle from your office is coming to that meeting on Thursday.
So they had a full-fledged store there on that.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Huh?
I got a couple questions.
Go for
The
it.
438 Oley, where they got the second floor apartment, and it's gonna be a bakery, what was there before?
Originally, it was a vet's office. The vet sold it to a woman who was going to open a daycare. She went through the zoning hearing board process to get approval to do that, but I think failed to understand the building code challenges and pulled out and sold.
Right. They could put a bakery there?
Bakery on the first floor. Yeah, by right. It's a commercial zoning district.
I don't have a problem with it, I just see it's gonna be a tough retrofit. But anyway, how about the one-line arcade? What's the story with that?
That is the mall.
No, that's the Works.
The Works.
That was one of the first.
Hold on a second. Jeff, do you know off the top of your head?
Is that on my report?
Yeah, it was at the beginning.
Oh, online arcade observed as being active. Neidert was working on it.
There it is, there.
What does that exactly mean, online arcade? Isn't that what it always was?
Not online.
That's why they say online.
Go over that again.
No, and I
Maybe
mean,
we
so
should
keep in mind indoor places of amusement. Nick might need to get involved with that too, because it's a change of the zoning approval. They've gone through probably 14 zoning hearings at this point as the uses have changed over the years.
So is there wagering or something? What's the online part of it?
I
Who knows?
don't know. We can find out.
That's
I believe that's just video games.
video games.
Pay to
Play
play.
and so okay. There was a mention of the Lynn Avenue duplex. What does that mean? It's right down the street here, right? And there wasn't an address or anything.
I think it could be enough out of order.
One of them's 12 pages. So it's right real quick.
I'm going from G to M.
Yeah, so
It's in your house, so.
If you find it, see
Oh,
if you
yeah.
let me know what page.
You just can't realize that. I was thinking when I read that, talk about somewhere like around Lehigh, that going about 516, I don't know if that's correct or not, that location. Because there's that little alleyway that they came to us and wanted to put a fence in a couple of years ago.
Oh,
Duplex.
here,
No.
there. It's at the beginning because there's no street address.
Isn't there a duplex, half of a
That-
duplex for sale on it?
That's just
Yeah.
somebody called in and was asking about it.
About
So if you read the comments, return call, semi-detached is permitted in R2, provided setback of 10-foot side, 40-foot rear. So somebody was calling in basically saying, if I wanted to build on this property, what could I build and is this use permitted?
all right, thanks.
Anything else?
No.
5,000.
It's at the beginning.
Any other questions for the roads report?
Thank you very much.
All right, hearing none, Fourth and Oley pump station.
Those developments all have the draft agreement, or actually, they have the agreement to sign and execute. So, once we get it back, then we can start on the permitting.
Okay.
They all got them in final version in late
December
December.
23rd.
23rd.
Western Berks Water Authority, I assume this is still about the pipe. We don't have anything to do on that yet, do we?
Ed Stock asked for a letter, I prepared a letter, it should go out this afternoon. And I'm asking to have a meeting to address that issue, so, I don't know why he needs a letter, but he asked for one.
Yeah, so I'll make a recommendation, we table any other further discussion on that pipe.
Second.
Motion to second, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Sanitary sewer, anything new?
Nothing new.
Spring Township, West Wyomissing Creek interceptor.
Greg, did Jim have anything?
Can you give me a little something on that?
Yeah,
Not
please.
much. All the pipes in the ground and the turf restoration will take place in the springtime.
He did make a comment to me, I guess that was when I sat down and talked on Friday. And this is somewhat for this committee, but also for Park and Shade tomorrow. The area that we had talked about potentially leaving as a parking lot, our sewer project next year is going to come through that same area. So we would want to wait to do anything there till 26.
Regardless.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be the staging area for that
Yeah.
project too.
Right. Could look good for another year, huh? I saw our change order increased by about $3,000. Assume there was nothing fancy there.
That was for a drain line from the pool that wasn't marked. Well, I guess nobody had a record over, knew it was there, and they had to reconnect. They had to connect that to the new line that they put in.
Didn't we do that last month?
Yeah,
It says increased.
that's what
It went up.
that's what the change order that took it from 122 to 125 was for last month.
The Windwood pump station upgrades, don't look like there's anything new there.
When would we really take off? Well, no, that's not true.
How did it?
No, we're gonna get the budget to do the.
Oh.
No, nothing.
Okay. Streets,
I think street improvements is self-explanatory.
Yeah. PennDOT Hill Road, we haven't gotten any correspondence from PennDOT, so there's nothing to do as far as our utility relocations yet.
so we won't know how much we're gonna have to put out until the funding letter.
Correct.
And the funding letter we think would be when?
Did you say spring?
Spring of, spring, they thought we'd have it in by February of 25. But in PennDOT time, it's probably July.
Got it.
I don't think it's one we want to rush, because we're not in any rush to relocate all our utilities in State Hill Road, I don't think.
I am working with Econ, our grant writers. There may be grants available to cover some of those costs, so they're looking into that.
The relocation costs?
Yeah.
Nice.
The one complicating factor was we need right away from Berkshire Mall for the new water meter pit that has to move out of State Hill Road, so probably in light of our, or at least recently, relationships might be a little more difficult to acquire than we thought a year ago.
Probably.
I guess there's a reason that we have to assume the relocation costs on a PennDOT project. There must be some legitimate reason somewhere there.
So if we have to relocate within the right of way, and it's within the right of way now, they reimburse us 50%. If we relocate outside of the right of way, they reimburse 75%. There's something under the Highway Act and Borough Code that requires the municipalities to relocate for PennDOT. Same as, and actually all public utilities as well as authorities and municipalities. Chris could probably stick the section, I don't know it.
Well, you know, we're using their right of way to
Run our lines.
have our infrastructure, so
Right.
that puts a burden on us to move it if it gets in the way of their project.
Because conversely, if we have a project on one of our streets and we need UGI to move, we don't pay them, we just tell them that they need to move.
Go gate, 50/50 sidewalk. Sorry.
50/50 sidewalk is a little behind due to the weather,
Yeah.
so there's a motion there for that.
So I'll go ahead and make the motion to recommend change order number 2 to council for a time extension due to the weather conditions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Should, if I recall from the last meeting, Greg, part of the problem was that we gave them 90 days to start, and they waited
Well-
until the end of that. Should we look at shortening that period for the next time the contract was out?
I think it was more the change order that got added on, just, and then the weather that came in just didn't help us.
They were slow to start.
They were slow to get started out there as well.
Slow to get started, meaning the contractor was slow to get started.
Yeah, it's not the borough.
90 days.
They were waiting until the end of the time period, and then when we added the other sections of, I think it was 7 additional properties, came out on the sidewalk inspection, then they said that was a delay, because they want to start it, and then the weather, you know. Yeah, I don't think we want to just give them a blanket thing
No,
for
because
whatever, but.
it hurts us too with how they started this year, with
Yeah,
leaf
so,
season.
so next year, do we want to shorten it to 75 or 60 or?
60.
Well, you're limiting the bid, isn't it? I mean, there's a downside to limiting the window.
Right. But now
We've
we're
also
getting
never,
it done.
we've never had that problem before. I mean,
Yeah, usually they
the
get-
10 years we've been doing 50/50 sidewalk, this is the first time that's ever happened, and it was a new contractor, new to
They did
us.
they did it once 8 or 9 years ago.
Yes, they did it one.
Yeah, but generally the contractors get on it pretty quickly, because they want to do it before the leaves fall, for their own side.
That's what we were not.
Sometimes we just get a contractor who doesn't want to work, doesn't want to pay us.
Saving us when he needs money the next time.
Yeah,
More cash flow.
he took on too much work and can't get it done. But generally, we found the sidewalk contractors want to be done in the summertime, it's warm.
Can I ask a question?
No.
So now that this is being delayed because of the weather, like there's several spots in the hills just from my walks where the sidewalks dug up and roped off. Like, do we know when they're gonna get back to it? I feel like it's gonna be like
Months.
gone and roped off for a while with the weather.
It's
Yeah,
all,
they're
it's
not-
all.
It's not just the hills, they're all over the place, aren't they?
Like,
Land.
yeah, so all over the place we have these pockets where there's no sidewalks, people have to walk in the snow.
Yep.
We just have good times. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
That's called progress.
it won't last.
Yeah.
if you're cold.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions at this point about that? All right, I do have a question about the several owners received violation notice. Several is how many roughly?
I think it was 10 to 15. Jeff,
Out of how many?
50-ish?
So
From that received initial notices for me, it was like 30, 35, I
Okay.
think. I don't know if you maybe had more.
No,
Okay, yeah, it was 35, 40, I think, total, and then 10 to 15
So-
never responded at all.
So we're talking about 20, 25, 30% of the people.
Yeah.
Jeff, Jim, and I talked about this, and I mean, the language is in the ordinance. It gives the borough the right to fix the sidewalk for the owner and then lien the property. We did not want to make that decision without input from the committee as to how to proceed. But I mean, at this point, they can't say this is the third, if not fourth letter
Yep.
they've gotten.
Are the people who were listed, I saw in the code report, there's 2 inches above, are those the people who didn't respond?
Yes, yeah,
There
they're
wasn't-
still
there
on the
wasn't 10 or
report.
12 of them there, there might have been 4 or 5 or 6.
I thought it was more than that. They're
Yeah,
kind
okay,
of spread
maybe there was.
throughout.
I didn't count them, so it didn't seem like there was that many. in light of the fact that we're not starting it anytime soon due to the weather, do we wanna send them one more letter?
I'm not opposed to that.
And I would change the wording to be strongly
Final
stated that
notice?
this is the final notice,
Yeah.
and we will repair your sidewalk if you don't.
Yeah. When,
Yeah.
At your expense.
At your
When are-
expense, and tell them the whole part about we're gonna put a lien plus 10% of the cost.
No, I was gonna say, when are we putting this out for bid?
No, we hadn't, it's a current contract, or next year's.
No, this was the spring.
Okay.
Well,
Which is gonna
my
happen,
theory would
like,
be, if
April.
we're putting it out to bid, just include all those properties, and if they don't do it, we're paying for it anyway, until we put a lien on their house.
True.
What kind of deadline you wanna give them to respond?
2 weeks. Does that sound fair? Jeff, I'm looking for your expertise.
I think that's reasonable. They've gotten plenty of notice at this
My
point.
theory is if you wait a month, they'll wait a month. If you say it's a week, they'll do it.
Yeah.
They either won't do it or anything, or they'll do it in a week, so.
Now, would they be eligible to apply for the 50/50 program still, or are they expected to be paying the entire cost for these repairs?
My understanding was we wanted anyone who was willing to apply for 50/50
Yeah,
to
they'll
get
apply.
in, so.
So that'll stay open, okay.
And then when we start getting nasty emails or people saying we didn't know, we can show them the extra letter that we sent.
Yep.
And they could have had it partially paid for by the borough and blah, 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 blah. So then do we table that next recommendation, or do we table it, do we approve it pending the outcome of the letter to those people?
Preferably you'd approve it, just so we don't have to wait until next month to come back.
Okay. So I'll make the recommendation to approve, recommending the council to including the spring 2025 50th for any program or property received violation notice that has not responded, including the newest one. Just please, Leon.
Clarification, just the wording of this motion.
Yeah, it sounded weird to me.
What we mean is that the contractor who does the 50/50 program for the borough in the spring of 2025 will do the sidewalk work for these properties. So we're not including them in the program, because they're not eligible for the program unless they sign up.
We include them in the bid.
Bid.
They'd be part of the bid, but not funded through 50/50.
But they can still apply for the 50/50.
Yeah.
Right. Then put something there, you can apply for the 50/50.
Mhm.
Okay, we good with that?
With the 2-week
Yes.
time period.
Because someone's gonna say they were in Florida for a week, or and if they're in Florida for 2 weeks.
They've gotten
They
plenty of
can
We
notice.
should have replied to the first
They
4.
can afford the first
Yeah.
four.
Right. Maybe not. We might not be able to afford the trip to Florida. All right, so I'll go ahead and make the motion with Chris's recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. All right, where are we at?
Water 10.
Water. Water. We got anything new on water?
There's pay app.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. 4.
All right, so underwater, we have a motion to approve tonight recommending change order number 1 to council for the final quantity adjustments for a decrease in the contract price of $10,970.50 to Algeyer Enterprises LLC. And I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Municipal pay application number 4 to Algeyer Enterprises LLC has been received in the amount of $28,413.75, and I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve that payment application number 4.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I have no idea why I'm just reducing that amount by the $10,900, but as we said.
Was that?
Why it was reduced?
So when we did it.
No, why we just wouldn't pay the 28,000 minus the 11, but it's
No,
the
that's-
same company.
No, that's, the 10,907 is reducing the overall contract amount from the bid amount,
Okay.
based on actual unit quantities constructed versus bid quantity.
We still.
We
but
still,
that I did-
yeah, it doesn't change
Got it.
what we owe them.
Okay, it's just gonna cost us less in the end.
Right, we saved $10,950 over from what was budgeted.
Got it, thank you.
Sure.
Request for reimbursement for Wyomissing Industrial Park.
Jim has been in contact, Jim's on vacation this week, but in the past 2 weeks, he's been in contact with Wade Marshall and Chip White. Chip owns the works, Wade Marshall is the property manager who does all the behind the scenes things to keep everything going. When there was the pressure spike over the summer, that was caused by work that Western Berks Water Authority was doing, there was close to $40,000 in damage to the internal pipe system at the Wyomissing Industrial Park, which is building 24, the works, Lick Willie's Arcade. Wade had reached out to Jim asking for some type of reimbursement.
Jim
and
Babb, right?
Yes, correct. My comment to Jim was, why would the borough reimburse him? We had nothing to do with the pressure spike. One of the things that Jim gave me, and I apologize, I don't have this in PDF format. So this is a plan where you can see, here is the pressure reducing station that Western Berks Water Authority owns. Here is a borough meter pit. So you can see where it's highlighted. The line that comes off the pressure reducing station goes to West Reading. They also had multiple line breaks from this incident back in July. And then off the metering pit, there's a line that comes and goes to the Wyomissing Industrial Park. The pressure spike happened, West Reading and the Wyomissing Industrial Park lines were impacted. This line going from our meter pit to Wyomissing Industrial Park, there's no record as to who owns that. Whether they own it, we own it, Western Berks Water Authority owns it, nobody knows. I know there's been communication, and Jim's aware of it, I think Greg, you're aware of it too, that West Reading has been in contact with Western Berks. Chris, I don't know. Basically saying there was all this damage.
It's sort of a messy thing in that we had a meeting with them. They asked that we do some additional testing because they claimed that they were having other pressure fluctuations, minor pressure fluctuations. We said, okay, fine, we'll go do the testing. Never heard back from them, and their pressures have been steady ever since. So, I mean, the July thing with the tank, that was like a one-off thing that nobody could have predicted, I think. Everything's been fine since then.
We, the borough, also had a break right here in front of Russo's that we fixed. So, I mean, Jim communicated with Chip, the owner of the works, to contact Chip Bilger and Malin Boyer. We were told he did and didn't get a return phone call. And in the meantime, we were put on notice that we were effectively being sued.
When did they?
Within the past 2 weeks.
Okay. I will ask and mention to them.
So I assume we told our insurance company about it,
Yes, our.
but I don't see any reason why our insurance company would be responsible for something that we're not responsible for.
I don't disagree with you.
But you never know. I know, it's our brain right around.
Well, the question is who owns this, that name's plural.
But then if the pressure came to us.
And how much are they charged for their repairs?
40,000, not
As
including.
far as ownership, in our standard rules and regs for water and sewer, the borough owns in the public road right away, the property owner owns after that. So
Yeah.
that line from 8 feet behind the curb there back to the sidewalk, that's as far back as we would own. So from there in is definitely owned by
The industrial
Wyomissing Industrial Park LLC or whatever it is, or that whole condo group.
Yes, so in addition to the 40,000, give or take, for repairs, one of the other things they're also asking for that we've never actually talked about since this happened in July is a credit on their water bill for usage they were charged but didn't actually use because of all of the leaks. I mean, I think the one email Wade sent to Jim said they had 3 inches of water in the one room at one point from the pressure coming through the pipes and just blowing everything out.
Malin did reach out to me, and I returned his call, but we haven't connected yet. So Malin has reached out to me about this issue.
He's actually the attorney I'll be meeting with on Thursday for the bell tower issue, so I can just pull him to the side and say, hey, can we schedule a call to talk about this too, if that works.
That's fine. I will try to reach him again too, but
Okay.
we're gonna need to communicate about what their expectations are. I mean, I'm assuming Western Berks has reported it to its carrier as well. Because we've both been served with legal papers from Jimway.
You mean Western Berks has been served as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't heard about that yet, but.
I would think until that's determined, we can't really,
We can't do anything.
We
but
can't do
except
anything.
what our insurance company,
Yeah.
our insurance company's gonna,
they're gonna fight it
they're gonna
anyway.
have to fit it anyway.
And as far as credit for the water itself, isn't that between the borough and, I mean, it's up to you. I don't think.
Well, I think we would then be coming back and asking Western Berks for credit.
Right.
Yes.
But I think you'd have to decide first if you wanted that.
Now, the sewer aspect of it, like we've done in the past,
That's a no-brainer.
that's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll be asking for a credit.
If you decide to give them
That's
credit,
correct.
right? Understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you, I mean, maybe I should know this, but how do you estimate how much water you credit them for?
We look at historic usage.
Yeah, Kim can pull the monthlies and look at their average.
Which is what we've done with residential also.
So she actually pulled, I can send these to you, Chris, but Jim had Kim pull some historical data.
Do you have a ballpark figure?
It looks like it was about double, so their normal bill is for around 17 to 1800.
It's not,
Significant.
it's not a huge number. I mean, it's a big.
Compared to
number,
the
but-
40.
Right.
Whoa, there's that one.
And it's pretty substantial.
Oh, wait, 10 does add up.
Yeah.
What time frame is that?
And you
That's
get into that,
October.
and it opens up the door for the whole.
I don't know.
So,
what-
but wait, their bill is quarterly like everybody else's,
No,
right?
commercial gets billed monthly.
Like monthly.
Yeah, every commercial property gets billed monthly, not quarterly.
But we should only be talking about 1 month, right?
That July period, I would think.
Wasn't it the October bill that was sent down?
Yep, that wasn't that one.
The August bill was for 3,000. I don't know what communication, if any, Jim has had with Wade about.
Was it 10,000? Was there any carryover from the previous months that made it 10,000?
Looks like it's current.
Yeah, no.
That's what I see
Commercial.
on Blue Mark. I looked in-
Because remember, in September, the previous balance was zero.
I don't remember that.
No, I'm sorry, right there.
Sorry,
I
I'm
just saw it.
here.
See that?
Right. So the question is the October one, well, it happened, that would have been the bill there, September.
Yeah,
Previous balance was
and
zero.
previous,
Previous
So
bill was
what
always
was the
zero.
amount in October?
no, not if they don't pay it, but that's what we're saying, they paid it.
They paid their bill, that's what was
Yeah.
zero.
This is also going to give you an idea of the sewer
Yes.
billing. I mean, I can ask Kim in terms of these bills. I didn't realize that Jim had given these to Nick to include with the agenda. I can ask Kim, am I understanding correctly that say the August 1st through August 31st bill would have been for water used in July and there's not some time lapse that we're not all unaware of here?
It does seem odd.
Yeah.
It says billing date, due date, doesn't say what the water is used for. Okay.
I'll talk
We'll
to
have to
Chip
figure all
today
that out.
and try to have him get back to you before Thursday.
Okay. Sounds like we're gonna have a three-way conversation. All right, Cambridge Avenue culvert, pedestrian bridge, anything new there, Jim?
No, just had the pre-con meeting was all just They're gonna do the work between, now and March 15th, when they have to be out in the stream.
Good. There have been no discussions on the admin of police department needs study?
I have an update, and I know I had asked Nick to put this, I don't know, it was on a version of the agenda I saw, but it's not on this one. Last Monday, I gave Senator Schwank a tour of administration and police in advance of pending grant applications, letters of support, and thinking outside the box in terms of other pots of money we could go after besides the ones we already have. One of the things she requested is if I could facilitate a meeting with her and the infrastructure facility subcommittee, which would be Bill, Steve, and Jen. So after this meeting, I will.
With her?
Yes.
Perfect.
Her schedule actually is probably harder. It took us 2 months to coordinate that meeting. So I can actually talk to Spencer, one of her aides, and get some dates from her and then share them with the three of you.
Okay. Well, we can do that. Public Works Garage, anything else new on that? We all done?
Is everyone on the same page for scheduling the March infrastructure meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
So the March Infrastructure Committee meeting will be at the Public Works Garage. At normal scheduled time, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, the only reason this is at 12:30 and
Right.
reminder February the same because of potentially having personnel before.
Yep, her. Okay. Public Works Garage, nothing. River Cone Ceremony, that's it. Yep. Okay. Stonehouse Project. So we need a motion to approve, we need a motion recommending change order number 3 to council to decrease the contract in the amount of $1,736.01. I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Then we have pay, motion carries. Payment application number 6 from Construction Master Services LLC has been received in the amount of $17,114.25. I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve that. Do we still have retainage on that if we need it?
Yes.
So I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve application number 6 to Construction Master Services. All those in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? The ayes have it. Park study.
There will be more discussion on this at Park and Shade tomorrow. The short version for this meeting is Greg, Dwayne, and I met with Terry Reed from the Wyomissing West Reading Rotary, as well as Brooke Leister and Larry Lloyd from Berks Nature 2 weeks ago? Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. Terry from the Rotary is working on and let me know yesterday. He got approval from our local Rotary to go after a district grant, which then the district matches. So there's potential of up to $10,000 in funding from the Rotary. Lucy Carnes, who is a Park and Shade Commission member, who is also a resident of the Highlands. Her and I have a meeting scheduled on Monday with Kevin D'Acosta from the Highlands to, one, just make him aware of the parkland study and some of the recommendations coming out of it. But then the Highlands is also apparently sitting on several, sounds like maybe between 50 and 100 trees that they have no plans on using that were donated by residents. So the ask is going to be, if you're not using these, could we use them in our parklands for areas of reforestation that the study is recommending? And then Larry from Berks Nature is also meeting with Greg and I later. Is it the first week of February? I scheduled too many meetings this morning, I'm sorry.
6th, 7th, or 10th?
Yeah, it's coming up. To talk about the work plan, and then the work plan that we're putting together will be used for the bigger grant funding, such as, you know, DCNR, DCED, like the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 pots of money we would go after to do large scale improvements. So stay tuned.
Alrighty. Anything new on the lead rule update?
And one thing,
I'm sorry.
so my daughters live in Pittsburgh and they got lead pipes coming in. So they got kits to get the water tested. Do we do anything like that? They wanted to know, I guess in Pittsburgh, it's obviously a big problem. but they wanted to know which areas of the city of Pittsburgh were worse, so they could do it first, and they had the people test the water, the pipes. And coincidentally, the testing firm was MJ Ryder from here.
Mm-hmm.
But, our people, we just sent them a letter that said, hey, be on the lookout for this.
We have it scaled down to it's about 600 properties that are unknown. So out of, what is it, 2,400 service connections?
Yeah. We're actually in really good shape compared to
yeah.
municipalities.
And then of those 600, they don't definitively have lead, they're just unknown, so that's some more back and forth with maybe getting inside and looking and maybe having to dig some stuff up.
We did
I'm-
send them a letter.
Yeah, we had-
That was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
notice that there's a potential.
Yeah, I'm not aware we've sent test kits.
No, we have not sent test kits.
They got test kits, I'm not saying we need to do it, or, but. that's just-
EPA actually did a thing on ABC Nightly News about that, and they referred to Pittsburgh in that article. But yeah, they're saying that this whole thing is a national concern instigated by the EPA.
So these 600 properties, what happens? We're gonna fix them once they're identified?
Well, we gotta identify it first.
Yeah.
That's the first thing is to identify it, and then we go from there.
And when's that process start?
10 years, all the lead pipes are supposed to be removed.
But
When's it start?
We sent the letters out, we've gotten some emails back, so we're constantly working on it.
And the other piece of that, John, is the lead before or after the service connection, because depending where it is, it's not our problem, it's theirs to fix.
Pittsburgh, they're
That's
gonna,
our
that's
problem.
my knowledge, they're gonna dig up the line from the service to the house. But,
Well, the whole line has to be, when Michelle's not our problem, the water provider's responsible to make sure it happens, but depending on where your demarcation is, you're responsible to the demarc and the homeowner's responsible in. So even if we weren't responsible to pay for it, we're still responsible within that 10-year time period to make sure it gets removed, that all the lead piping is removed.
I'm just saying,
So we're putting liens on more people's houses.
well, I'm just saying, Pittsburgh, I think the city's paying for it. The line from.
They got a grant,
Well, how much of a grant did they get?
millions,
They don't have
hundreds of
money.
millions.
Whatever
Yeah.
that person is in.
Philadelphia went after Grant and got it, Pittsburgh got it.
I'm not saying we should do that, but I'm just saying that's what they're doing in Pittsburgh.
Like I said, she was not the lanes that I know.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Median Island on the Wyomissing Boulevard from Atonement. Last I know is we voted on this to say, let's put some red, white, and blue paint on a sidewalk that resembles a flag. We probably should have gotten the approval from the school district first. So I guess we're waiting for that.
Yes, Mark indicated that he is going to take that through their facilities committee. I don't believe that meeting is until February, so stay tuned, but
We're not painting
nobody's
anytime
painting in this
soon.
weather,
Right.
yeah.
Can you resend me the picture of one of the things that they had?
I might
I called Valley Forge Flag to get an idea of what their concept of it was.
I might actually still have it on this flash drive.
I have it on one of my emails, it just might be easy for you to find.
It's in the minutes from the
Here,
January.
no, it was December, it was, here. Docs.
I did review the US code on flags.
That's it.
No regulation that prohibits from painting it on a walkway, as was alluded to at the last council meeting. They do have a requirement there about the type of paint to use in the code, but that's the only regulation that they have.
I did send an email Friday evening, which actually cited the section of the American Legion concept with regard to where the flag should be placed.
But that's talking about an actual physical flag, not a, yeah, not a mural. That was, my interpretation of what you sent, and Chris has it as well, is it's referencing a physical flag you would hang.
So are you saying that what they were saying is that if you glue the flag to the sidewalk, it can't be there?
I would agree with taking a physical flag, yes, I would agree with that.
At all?
You can't take an actual flag and lay it down
On the ground, correct.
The difference.
You cannot do that. Right, we're
So
not
if you're
doing it.
not laying a flag on the ground, but you're painting an exact replica of it, that's okay?
I wouldn't say that's an
I
exact
wouldn't-
replica.
That's not an
of the
exact
flag.
replica.
Well, put it this way, if it's waving this way, it's whatever. I
Okay.
don't know why we're having a big conversation about the American flag being walked on, in whatever aspect you wanna walk on it. Paint it red and blue, paint it red and green, paint it whatever color you want. But why would you annoy people who think the flag is something that should not be walked on in whatever category you wanna put it? Put a flagpole there and fly the flag. Why would you get people that are cranked up about the flag and have to listen to them say, actually Jen said it, she said, well, it's not gonna matter, because you're gonna walk on it and wreck it anyway. That's the whole point. Now, whether it's glued down, painted, or nailed down, it's still a flag on the ground, and that's what it says. You shouldn't have a flag on
We'll
the ground.
find out what the school says, and I'll do a little bit of additional research for somebody who I know.
And plus, by the way, it's not our ground. The school district has ultimate veto on this anyway, so why are we saying, okay, you can do it?
I
You can't
just,
say that.
I just said we
No, I know
probably
you
should
did,
have
but
gone
we
this
said
way.
we could do it last week.
Overstep our boundaries, we'll find out if the school district lets us. If they don't, we'll rescind it.
I see both sides to this, and
Yeah,
the
I
one
agree.
thing that was, disturbing to me that I saw was when I was researching all this, there happened to be a picture, in Iran of the, US flag, painted on the ground, and some Iranians walking on it on their way to a funeral, which I thought was
That's
rather
exactly what we're
disturbing.
gonna do
But-
here.
Differences are not in Iran.
Well, that's correct, but, you know.
We're gonna have
yeah,
American
there's-
citizens
It's another
stepping
side,
in.
to- excuse me, am I in this meeting or are you?
Just,
You know, so, yeah, there's two sides to it.
Yep, we'll figure it out.
What we're not saying is that if an Iranian walks in Wyomissing, walks in the
Well,
flag,
you're-
it's a problem.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're not in question.
So there's another
I just
side
wanna
of the
throw
problem
in
too.
my
I don't think
2
they
cents.
should be painting anything. But that's.
Thank you very
I
much.
agree that what Michelle interpreted, I agree with that we're not actually putting the flag on the ground. I think if the school board does approve it, that we could talk to the Girl Scouts. I do have connection with the Girl Scouts. I'd be willing to go talk to them about taking that depiction that they've created and making it a bit more abstract. It's nowhere near a full representation of the flag to begin with. There's a couple of stars, there's some stripes, but if we can abstract it just a little bit further, it would not be offensive to people believing we're actually walking on the flag, and it would still represent some patriotism. Those are my 2 cents, but I would be willing to talk to the Girl Scouts
Well, let's see what
if
the
it gets
school does,
approved
and I
and
would.
come up with a plan to do
Jen,
that.
I agree with you. If we talk to the school, we can figure out a way to not make it look like 1/3 of the American flag waving, so be it. Okay.
Valley Forge.
They haven't got back to me yet.
No.
All right. Anything else on that? Hearing none. The agenda is done. I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Can I add one thing? Kind of not on the agenda, but just for an FYI. The pool has a pretty significant leak in it, and also the skating pond has a significant leak in it. Just an FYI.
That means,
Can
I
we
was gonna ask you after the meeting, it's not. Okay. So we can't make it skatable.
We're working on that right now.
Okay, thank you. Seems to be about the perfect time to have skating, but I get it, thanks for everybody.
They plowed it off, so.
They do it today?
They just bought it off.
Yeah. Nice.
Texted too soon.
I did. I was in a bad mood when I texted.
I could tell. I could tell.
Counting cabs.
No, I didn't have to highlight anything, meeting was good. I didn't have to highlight work.